Hey kiddos, welcome back to your math lesson. Today we're going to be focusing on 15-2 and we're going to be classifying triangles. So today we're only going to spend the time looking at the different properties that make up triangles. They can be classified based on their sides and their angles. So we're only going to focus on this particular polygon, okay? But before we do that, I want to go over the answers for your homework for 15-1. So if you want to pause the video to get your homework out so you can check over your answers. That way you can see which ones you might have got wrong. And if you do have any questions on these, please make sure to let me know, okay? Alrighty, so for reteaching, for numbers 1 through 4, you're just supposed to name what kind of polygon it is and whether it's regular or irregular. So for the first one, it's a quadrilateral because it has 4 sides, and since they are not equal, it is not regular or irregular. Number 2 is a hexagon and it's regular. Number 3 is an irregular pentagon. Number 4 is a regular triangle. For number 5, the shapes in group A are all open, so they are not polygons. And the shapes in group B are closed and they are polygons. Alrighty, so for practice, number 1 is a regular octagon. Number 2 is an irregular quadrilateral. Number 3 is a quadrilateral. And then for naming the vertices, you just had to put H, T, E, B. So where the lines meet at each angle, the line segments, they have letters and those are the names of the vertices. For number 4, D, octagon. And for number 5, you're going to have different answers just as long as you have 2 figures that are closed and made up of lines that are equal would be considered regular polygons. And for irregular, just make sure that the figures that you drew are closed and have sides of different lengths, okay? So again, if you have any questions on some that maybe you got wrong, please let me know so that I can answer your misconceptions and then we can move on and we're all on the same page. Alrighty, so for 15-2, and in fact for all of topic 15, it's super important that you have your notebooks with you and that you're writing down the information that I have on the slides. Just because this topic focuses on a lot on information. So there's a lot of things you need to remember about these different shapes and figures that we're going to be talking about, because that's the way we're going to classify these shapes. So when we want to name these shapes, we want to be as specific as possible. And in order to do that, we have to know what name is associated with that shape based on maybe the sides, maybe how long they are, maybe the type of angles they have. So if you write down the information that I have here for you, it's going to help you even more to remember this information, okay? So if you need to pause to get your notebooks, go ahead and do that, and then I'll get ready to start the lesson. Alrighty, so today we're going to be focused on triangles, and we're going to see how to classify these triangles. We're going to see how to name them and how to describe them. And triangles can be classified or described by the length of their sides, so how long and how similar their sides are, and also by the measure of their angles, so how big or small their angles are. The triangles are going to have 2 different names. So one is going to be based on their lengths and one is going to be based on their angle. So when we talk about a triangle, one specific triangle, it's going to have 2 names. The first 3 slides that I'm going to show you are how we classify triangles based on their sides. So this first triangle, if you notice, the shape here, okay, means that each side measures 3 inches. So this side is 3 inches long, this side is 3 inches long, and this side is also 3 inches long. So when a triangle has all the same side lengths, it's called an equilateral triangle. Okay, so an equilateral triangle means all the sides are the same length. It can be 4, 4, 4, or 20, 20, and 20. It can be 7, 7, and 7. Whatever size the length is, as long as they're the same number, the same size on all 3 sides, okay, it would be considered an equilateral triangle. Now, when a triangle has only 2 sides that are the same length, it's called an isosceles triangle. So if you notice this triangle, okay, not all the sides are the same. Only 2 in this triangle are the same. So this is 7 and this is 7. That means that these 2 sides are the same, but if you notice this one on the side, it's 2 inches, so this one is not the same as here. So since only 2 sides are the same length, this would be considered an isosceles triangle. Now there's a third kind of triangle that we can call based on the sides, and this is a scalene triangle. So when a triangle does not have the same sides at all, okay, no sides are the same length, that would be considered a scalene triangle. Notice that this one is 7 inches, this one over here is 8, this one is 5, so all 3 sides are different. So when you notice that in your triangles and in your homework or assignments that you do, that just means that this is a scalene triangle. Okay, so for the sides, you're going to have equilateral, isosceles, and scalene. So you have to really notice the numbers or the size of their lengths. And that's how you're going to determine whether it's a equilateral, isosceles, or scalene. Okay, and like I mentioned, we can also classify triangles based on their angles. So in this case, when you see a triangle that has a little square inside of it, like this, okay, this symbol means there is a right angle here, and right angles measure 90 degrees. So even if you don't see this little symbol here, this little box, but you see that one of the angles measures 90 degrees, then you know this is going to be a right triangle, okay? And triangles will only have one right angle because all triangles measure 180 degrees when you add all of the angles together. Okay, another type of triangle is an acute triangle. And this is when all 3 angles are acute angles. So if you notice here, this angle, and this angle are all acute because they're all less than 90 degrees. Even if it was 89 or 89.9, because it's still less than 90 degrees, then they are acute angles. But that means all 3 have to be acute angles, because if one of the angles is obtuse, okay, or bigger than 90 degrees, then it would be considered an obtuse triangle. So in this case, notice how we have 2 acute angles, but we have one obtuse angle, one angle that is over 90 degrees, then this would be considered an obtuse angle. Even if this angle was 91 degrees, it's still bigger than 90, so it would be considered obtuse, okay? So it's important to remember that triangles will be classified with 2 names. So one is going to be by its sides, and one is going to be by the angle. Because the inside of these triangles, so all angles have to equal 180 degrees, when you add these 3 up together, you're only ever going to have one angle that's obtuse. So even if it measures 91 degrees, the other 2 will never be bigger than 90 degrees because that already equals over 180 degrees. So one obtuse angle or all angles that equal up to 180 degrees. I'm going to do a few practice problems with you just so that you can see how we classify. So for example, let's say we have a triangle. This side measures 3 centimeters, this one measures 3 centimeters, and this one 2. The inside angles equal 60, 60, and 60 degrees, okay? So when you look at this angle and in your homework, you're gonna notice that it's gonna have the number of, the length of the sides and also what angles they are. So notice, the sides are all equal. That means it is an equilateral. And because the angles are all less than 90 degrees, they are acute angles, this would be an equilateral acute triangle. Okay, so here's one classification, here's a second. This one is based on the sides, and this one is based on the angles. So there's your two names and what kind of triangle it is. Let's say we have a triangle like this. .9 inches, 7 inches, and 7 inches. Okay, so here, if you notice the sides, there's two sides that are the same. One is different. So when we have two of the same lengths in a triangle, that would be considered an isosceles triangle. And because we have this symbol here, that means it's a 90-degree angle. This would be a right angle. And together it makes an isosceles right triangle. Okay, so please make sure that you have two names for it. And it's never going to be an acute obtuse triangle or an equilateral isosceles triangle. It'll never be the same, or two names of the sides or two names of the angles. It has to be one and one. So one name of the sides and one name for the angles. Let's try another one. So let's see, what if we had this one is 110 degrees. This is 12 yards, 15 yards, and 9 yards. Okay, so here you notice that all of the sides are different. So right off the bat, we know because the sides are different, it's going to be a scalene triangle. And we also have to look at the angles. So one angle is already bigger than 90 degrees. So that means it's obtuse. So this triangle is a scalene obtuse triangle. Okay, and that's basically it. Just make sure that you have two names for the triangles. One will be based on the sides, whether they're equal or not. And then one will be based on the angle, whether they are right angles, acute angles, or obtuse angles, okay? I will post your workbook homework, which will be 15-2. Make sure you do reteaching and practice. I'll go over answers in tomorrow's lecture. And then there's also a Plickers, so please make sure to do the Plickers so I can see whether you're understanding the lesson and where we need to do a little bit more explanation, okay? Tomorrow we're going to focus on quadrilaterals. So today we focused on 3 sides figures. Tomorrow we're going to focus on 4-sided figures, okay? So if you have any questions, please let me know, and I will talk to you later. Bye.